Hello and welcome to the All Things Aviation podcast presented to you by myself, Daps. Yeah, thank you very much. I'm very excited to be here today. I'm having too much fun with this new mixer, guys. So we've got a Zoom PodTrack P8 for recording our show today. I'm very thankful for the Zoom PodTrack P8. If you are listening to the show and you are thinking about podcasting, then this is going to be the right piece of gear for you. Now, I'm not sponsored by Zoom at all, but I just know that I've been getting questions about, podcasting, etc. So I think this is something that you should definitely check out. You should check out this mixer. It's really cool. Unfortunately, though, all the jingles that you are hearing on this show today, episode 0 of the All Things Aviation podcast, is standard from the box, okay? We haven't had time to program anything yet, so everything you're hearing today is standard. We promise you that from next week on episode 1, we will have all our proprietary jingles. But hey, I am joined today on this lovely show by Nadine. Now, for those of you who don't know who we are, we're going to start the show by introducing ourselves, who we are. Why have we started an All Things Aviation podcast? Who are we? Yeah, right. Who are we and why are we doing this? Well, let me start by introducing myself, and then the lovely Nadine will introduce herself. We'll talk about why we're doing this, and then we'll get the show on the road. So I'm Daps. I'm a private pilot. I started flying at age 18 in 2010. I earned my private pilot's license about 6 months later. I started flying in November, I think maybe around December 2010. And around maybe June or July 2011, I earned my private pilot's license. This was out in Florida. So my goal from the age of 7 was to become an airline pilot. I wanted to do nothing more than to fly. And the reason for this was because my dad worked with British Airways in Nigeria. All right. And so whenever my dad would come home, he would bring magazines of British Airways and, I would read stories about pilots. I'll never forget reading the story about Captain Mike Bannister. Captain Mike Bannister was the chief captain on the Concorde for British Airways back in the day. And reading this story about how he also always wanted to be a pilot from a young age and how he worked very hard in school to get there really motivated me. I was very sure now that I wanted to be a pilot. Coupled with the fact that my dad brought me to the airport. And I can't remember what Christmas it was, but I think I was around 7 or 8 years old. We went to the airport and I was able to watch planes take off and land. I saw pilots wear their uniforms and I just thought to myself, this is what I want to do. And yeah, and we're here now. So I think the real journey started in my teenage years when I recognized that I could go into, and I was saying this to Nadine. Do you remember HMV, Nadine?
Yes.
Yes. HMV, for those who are too young to know what HMV is, because we now have Spotify and Netflix and all other streaming platforms that we are accustomed to. We used to have HMVs and GameStops and game shops where we used to be able to go buy video games and rent movies and stuff like that.
Blockbusters.
Blockbusters, back in the day when we watched Avatar, we rented Avatar. It wasn't just sitting on Netflix. Those are the good old days, Nadine, wasn't it?
I guess so.
So when I recognized, so we went, myself and my brother, we went to go try and buy some video games for our PlayStation 2 at the time. Okay. And then I came across Flight Simulator 2004. I saw a simulator for the 777, and I thought, oh my God, you can play these types of games. Yeah. So instead of buying FIFA 2005 or whatever it was at that time, I bought Flight Simulator, and that changed my life. I learned so much. For those of you who have played Flight Sim or who have used Flight Sim, you know that it trains you. It gives you really good training on basic things like, what flaps is or what flaps does, information on meteorology, VORs and stuff like that. It was really good education for me. So from about the age of 13, 14 till I was about 18 when I went to flight school, I just geeked out on Flight Sim. So that's where I'm coming from. In 2011, when I ended my PPL, the plan for me was to do some RS building. I went to a school who some of you might know. It's called Pilot Training College. This was based out in Waterford in the Republic of Ireland. The school later went bust due to some financial issues that they had. It was massive in the news. But this is the school that I went to. I was on a modular pilot training program, which basically meant you kind of paid as you went. Okay. The alternative to that at that time was the integrated flight training program, which meant that your training was accelerated from start to finish. Ab initio done, you're gone to the airlines, basically. All right. My parents couldn't quite afford to pay about 19,000 euros every 2 or 3 months. So we went for an option where, hey, do your PPL, get that done, maybe come home, relax for a couple of months, do your house building. That's the kind of model that we wanted to go for financially. That suited us. Long story short, when pilot training college went bust, some families lost money. We lost a little bit too. Now, my mom and dad, God bless them, they are amazing parents. They did everything that they could to fund my pilot training. However, things were a bit tough. The recession had just happened in 2008. This is 2010. The banks were a little bit apprehensive or averse to giving us any loans or funding us any loans. So it was difficult for me to continue my training. So ultimately, this meant that I had to stop flying. I did manage to do my airline transport pilot's license exams. I did all 14 exams, passed them all first time. I think my average was about 89% or 89 or 90%. So it was pretty solid. Had a good time doing them. In fact, I remember one time my parents couldn't afford for me to go to, to classes. So I had to do distance learning from home, learning things like, aircraft general knowledge by myself. It was very difficult, but, my commitment to being an airline pilot meant I had to study hard. So that's my background, okay? What happened shortly after that was I had to stop training. I'm, obviously now in a different line of work. I work in finance now. I don't fly as much anymore. But why are we doing this podcast? Why? Okay, so what? So it's been almost 10 years. Why are you now doing a podcast today, Daps? You might ask, right? Well, in around January of this year, 2021, okay, 2021, we're recording this. Today is the 20th of July, 2021, okay? So it's been about 7 months, okay, to the day. We started a room on Clubhouse called All Things Aviation. Someone reached out to me on Clubhouse and said, hey, I have a friend in Nigeria. She's fascinated by aviation. She would like to speak to you. This lady spoke to me and said, hey, I'd like to do an aviation room on Clubhouse. I heard that you do rooms, and you have some fascination about aviation as well. And said, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, let's do something. Let's call it All Things Aviation. And that's how that started. And what was meant to be a room where we would just gather and talk about aviation and just, conspiracy theories like the Bermuda Triangle and this, that, and the other thing, aliens, we started to see a gathering of people and we started to build a community around our room on Clubhouse. Just in case you don't know what Clubhouse is, it's just an app, an audio-based only app where people can get together and open rooms and talk to each other. It's a great app. You should check it out. It's also available to iOS users. It's always been from the start, and now Android users. So definitely check it out. And if you do go on there, make sure you find our room, find our club, and follow us. The club is Chilling with Daps, and our rooms is All Things Aviation, and it goes live every Wednesday, 9 p.m. UK time, GMT our time. But anyways, back to the story, okay? So yeah, we started doing these rooms, and it started to grow, and we started to have a lot of banter, and we used to have this sort of open room styled flow of things where people can come up and introduce themselves, and we got pilots and airline captains, first officers, senior first officers, people flying 747s, 777s for, major airlines in the US, all over the world. And it was like, whoa, I'm like a kid at Christmas. I'm fascinated. I've always loved pilots. I've always looked up to them. I've always enjoyed, looking at the profession from an outsider perspective. And all of a sudden, I'm in the circle with all these really, really smart people. And pilots are a special breed. Anyone in aviation, you're a special kind of person. And then we started talking to air traffic controllers, maintenance guys, you name it, we spoke to them. CEOs, we spoke to everybody. And then, a few months down the line, we started to think, hang on, we are speaking to quite a lot of fascinating people here. Rather than doing the generic room where we would just all speak at one time and introduce ourselves. Look, we've all been introducing ourselves now for about 5 months. Okay, I'm tired of it. Let's start talking to actual people that do actual stuff, who have fascinating stories, that is probably different to the next person's. And so we started doing this sort of podcast styled room. And yeah, the rooms went great. And one day I went, guys, let's turn this into a real podcast. And here we are. Okay, so look, listen, that's our story. Okay, now joined on the show with me today is a lovely woman that I am, really, really respectful of. Her name is Nadine, and Nadine joined the room on Clubhouse very early on. I can't remember exactly when, but she joined the room and she would come in quietly on Wednesdays and just mute her mic. Okay. But when Nadine spoke, she spoke with so much confidence that I became a fan. Okay. I immediately just knew, I was like, I like this woman. She speaks with a lot of confidence. And honestly, how things went to where they are now, I honestly can't really tell you. All I know is that we started talking more, myself and Nadine, privately. We started working together. Nadine is an administrator within my club on Clubhouse. She sets and resets the room, does quite a lot of administrative stuff, and she adds a lot to the conversation. So I've told you my story. I've told you why we're doing this and why we're here. Now, we're going to hear from the lovely Nadine, who's going to also tell you her background. She's also going to then tell you about how she came about Clubhouse. She's going to tell you about all things aviation. Once we've done that, we will proceed with the rest of the show. Nadine, over to you. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm doing very well.
Great. Well, listen, I've given you a really wild intro. And I can, your personality, you just sat there, you're very calm and collected. Even after that intro, I expected that you'd be, jumping on your table, but you just sat there like, yeah, I deserve this, But hey, welcome to the show. So what you're gonna do on this show is you're gonna act as a producer, aren't you?
Yes.
So you're gonna prepare stories, current affairs. You're gonna help with booking in guests. You're just gonna do everything possible to ensure that the show runs smoothly, isn't it?
That's what I'm here to do.
Yeah, and you've done this very effectively on Clubhouse. So this is not new to you. This is just a podcast instead.
True, it's just a different style of the way we usually have our conversation.
There you go. And this is super exciting. So Nadine, I think we should start by your background. You've done quite a lot of exciting things in aviation, even up to the fact that you have a master's. So you are the best. You're overqualified for what you're doing for us. You are incredible. So I want to get into that, Nadine, so people can understand your background. So when did you first have fascination for aviation?
I'm going to be very honest here. It was on a whim.
Okay.
It was completely on a whim. I was on holiday for a wedding in Grenada in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
My family met the cabin crew that flew them over. They were at the hotel beach, the hotel pool.
Mm-hmm.
They spoke to them. I didn't speak to them. And I came after. They told me all about the crew, all about the flight, and I thought, I want some of that. After that holiday, I got home, applied to be cabin crew, and I got the job.
Wow.
So it was completely on a whim.
Wow. That is incredible. So when you applied, what are you allowed to talk about the airline you worked for at that time, or is that something that we can't talk about?
I won't mention their name, but it's very well-known UK-based airline, very well-known.
And were they a major carrier, or were they like a more domestic low-cost carrier?
Major carrier. International carrier.
International carrier.
I applied for both of the major airline carriers in the UK. One said yes, one said no.
Okay, well, you can guess who those are. There are really only two, so you could really only be. The only thing that you're not gonna know is what one she ended up working for. But literally, there are only two in the UK.
Yes.
Okay, so you worked for them, and how long did you work for them for as a cabin crew?
I was there for 5 years.
5 years, and you got to see the world, right?
I did. Everywhere they went, I went. I saw it, enjoyed it, and then that was it.
That was it. Wow. I've always thought that being a cabin crew is a fascinating job as well. It's hospitality in disguise, isn't it? You're chilling at 37,000 feet, and you're essentially responsible for people on the aircraft.
Yes, the training is very intense. I know a lot of people say it's just hospitality. No, but the training is very intense. You have to know all the safety procedures. You have to know where all the equipment is. You have to know what to do in an emergency, really. So if everybody else is panicking, you remain calm the whole way through. So it's actually quite an intense job, but majority of the time, it's quite nice.
Yeah. It's something that I don't think a lot of people do consider as well. Is it's not just the hospitality aspect of it or the customer service aspect of it. Is the fact that it's psychologically tasking because during an emergency you're trained to remain calm. Even when the captain says, "Guys, not sure, but we're going to try and sort something out. Okay, it's not really looking good from up here, but we'll try our best." And then the captain signals to you to keep everyone calm. You could be freaking out, but you're like, "Ladies and gentlemen, everything's okay."
Well, that goes back to the training that I received by the airline.
Hmm.
You the training is so intense, so well done. It means that you are prepared for any scenario that you face.
Hmm.
You might want to panic deep down inside, but you won't because the training just kicks in. It's instinct.
It's
The
instinct.
way you are, it's instinct. The way you are trained, the way your commands are drilled into you. It's kind of like military training.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, not to the same extent,
Yeah.
but the way we recite the drills, the way we practice the drills, the way it's done. I personally think TV makes it look a lot nicer.
Glamorous.
Yes, a lot more glamorous, but no, it's actually quite intense in a short space of time.
Yeah.
It's what you do. That's the only thing you focus on
Yeah.
for that period of time. Nothing else. You can't see anything else. It's just the training, and because of that training, because of that military style training, you feel you're prepared for everything.
Yeah, and that's something that I've always appreciated about aviation is that safety comes first. I mean, aviation is inundated with all these SOPs in every area, standard operating procedures. This is what you must do in this particular order in this particular type of event. And this is what separates aviation from quite a lot of other professions. And even though I'm doing something else in my life now as a financial advisor, in my day job, I do still tend to find that I'm writing things down in the order of a checklist because I feel like when I say check or done or complete, uh, mentally or psychologically, it does something to me where I feel like I've done a step that I'm probably not going to miss further down the line, which is important for the next scenario. And that ties back into what you've been doing because, well, what you were doing back in the day because your training was geared around making sure that in the worst case scenario that you are on top of the situation all the way till the end, basically.
All the way to the end.
Basically.
Interesting story. I haven't been a cabin crew member for about 4 years now.
Hmm.
After I left, there's certain words that if I hear it, I will react in a certain way without thinking.
Yeah.
There's certain trigger words that are still ingrained in my head.
All right. Such as.
I will not tell you. I'm
Actually,
going to keep that to myself.
really? Wow. Listen,
Yes.
this is the All Things Aviation podcast, Nadine. We talk about everything on this show, but also we respect people and their opinions and whether or not they want to disclose certain pieces of information. Aviation is also a very sheltered. I feel this is my opinion. I feel like it's also a sheltered industry. If you're an outsider looking in, you don't really know a lot of what happens. This is why people are very fascinated by the industry, and all aspects of the industry, whether it's the flying aspect or the maintenance or even running an airline. Like I was talking to again on Clubhouse to a guy that does some sort of he runs the behind the scenes of an airline. He's not necessarily a CEO. He's one of the managers, high end managers, and we had a conversation about some of the things that they have to do to make things run. There's so much in aviation. It's such a broad area, broad field. And what this show aims to do is, we will talk about it all, okay? From the conspiracies to having amazing guests on to having our own shows weekly where we can discuss certain topics to looking at current affairs to looking at accident investigation to looking at Africa and Asia and all over the world and policies being made. We're going to do it all on this show. This is literally the All Things Aviation podcast, which means no holds barred. If we can talk about it, we probably will. But yeah, so Nadine, so tell me about your journey on Clubhouse. So you joined Clubhouse. You can talk about how you joined Clubhouse because I know it wasn't due to All Things Aviation. A lot of people have actually come into our rooms because we reached out to them off the app and brought them on to Clubhouse, and some of them will probably be guests on this show. But some people were told about Clubhouse by somebody else, and Nadine, you're the same. So what happened there?
I joined Clubhouse because of, like you said, completely unrelated to aviation.
Hmm.
I think it was something to do with a gossip story that ended up on Instagram. And I thought, what is Clubhouse? This place seems wild. What is Clubhouse? So that's how I've learned about the app. It's Instagram, really, and
Yeah.
social media.
Mm.
Then, after all the wild stories, I thought, right, I've had enough of the gossip. What's actually on here for me?
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's how I joined Clubhouse.
Do you know what I thought Clubhouse was? So when my mate reached out to me, one of my friends, she said, "Hey, you need to get on this app, Clubhouse. Have you heard of it?" I was like, "Yeah, it's dance music, innit? EDM." That's what I thought it was. But yeah, she was like, "No, dummy. That's not what it is. It's an app where you can talk to people." But so after you had enough of the gossip, you thought, "Okay, I need to find my tribe."
Yes. Well,
Mm.
to be honest, when I downloaded Clubhouse the day I submitted my dissertation for my masters.
Mm.
So I knew about Clubhouse, and I thought, after the submit button, I thought, right, what can I do? I have a week before I have to go back to work. I downloaded Clubhouse, and then I just spent hours on there. Day for about a week, I was just listening to different things, the gossip, the stories, the trading rooms,
Mm.
all sorts,
All
the
sorts.
property rooms,
Mm.
real estate, shares, stocks and shares. I just listened. We were still during lockdown as well,
Mm.
so but I was still working.
Mm.
So my thing was get up, go for my walk in the park with Clubhouse on in my ears.
Mm. Mm.
What's the topic of today?
Mm.
What is everyone talking about today?
Mm.
What can I learn today? And there was a group on there called the Winners Circle,
Mm.
which was pretty good. Everyone would talk about what they do and how they could help each other and
Mm.
what else they could achieve,
Mm.
and and really connect with each other, which I found really helpful.
Wow. And this was right around sort of like December of last year, 2020. The Clubhouse was like the Wild West. There was so much going on. On the one hand, you had like the winner circle. On the other hand, you had like, shoot your shot rooms, which we shall not talk about on this show. But, you had, two complete spectrums, yeah, and everything in between. And it was wild. And it was around January that we started All Things Aviation. So tell me, do you remember what it was like, or how you discovered us? Do you remember your first day? What happened at all? How did you come into our first room? Do you remember?
Um, I think I was in another aviation room. I think I typed in aviation in Clubhouse,
Hmm.
and you popped up after another room,
Hmm.
and I just came in and listened.
Yeah.
That was it.
Great. Awesome. Well, I'm glad you did, because you are now here as a producer on the show, and guys, you're listening to the show. You are going to see why Nadine is here. This is just like our intro, and we just wanted to make sure that you know who we are, and our backgrounds. Nadine, what's your master's in aviation?
Air transport planning and management.
Well, there you go. Okay. So a lady who has, a master's in air transport planning and management probably deserves to be on an aviation podcast, because she knows a lot of things, and she works in aviation every day. In fact, she'll be working today. So I think she definitely deserves to be sat on the panel of an aviation podcast as a producer. Although I haven't flown in quite a lot of years, I'm a private pilot. And the one thing that I wanted to pass across to our audience is, so what am I not? I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I am not the smartest tool in the box. So you're not going to hear me talk about a lot of things that I don't know. The show will take um, sort of like a comical sort of direction, in the sense that we're going to find the funny in everything we can. That's just our personality. What we do things differently. But that said, I'm not going to come across as the smartest guy. For that reason, I will have the smartest people on the show to make things clearer. So I just wanted to make that clear from the jump, that we are here to learn together. We are here to create, hopefully, really good entertainment to our listeners, to our audience, done to the highest quality. We also want to serve an aviation community in the UK and eventually across the world. We want to put plans in place to help young people to get into aviation. We want to throw events around the country to encourage, minorities, whether it's, people from, different ethnic groups, like, the black, the Asians. We want people to come into aviation. We want women to come into aviation. We don't want anyone to seem alienated from this field. That's one of the things that we want to do with our show, by reaching out to as many people as we can. Also, what we plan to do is just bring awareness about some of the issues that people don't talk about in aviation. Issues such as the fact that, only 5% of pilots, are women, and why that number is not increasing, and why the pay scale is not increasing with the number of percentage of pilots, that are flying, and all manners of things. I don't want to digress too much from my point, but the point is that we are all learning here, especially me. I am surrounded by really smart people. This is a great opportunity for me to introduce another panelist on our show. Well, I suppose you can call him a co-host. So he is Seth Van Beek. Now, Seth, I know by the time you listen to this, this particular segment will put a smile on your face because you're a gentleman, you're a lovely guy, and I'm a big fan of everything you do. Now, who is Seth Van Beek? Seth Van Beek is the youngest qualified commercial pilot in the UK. Let that sink in. Okay, he's been interviewed by BBC, ITV, and some other news outlets. He's great. Seth Van Beek started out with a dream to become a pilot, and he did just that by also becoming the youngest qualified commercial pilot in the UK. He's currently flying corporate across European airspace, chilling at 37,000 feet, as I jokingly say to him all the time. So Seth is a cool guy. Seth is going to be part of the team in the capacity of a co-host. Now, Seth isn't here today for obvious reasons. He's probably up in the air somewhere, cruising at about 500 miles per hour in his Eclipse 550 jet. That said, whenever he does get a chance, he will also be sitting in on these conversations. He's obviously quite smart, very technical, so it's always good to have people around you that know what you're talking about. I am the leader of the ship. Well, I suppose if we're talking about aviation, let's not jump ship. Let's stick to aviation. So I am the captain.
Yes.
Sorry to all my sailors and all our naval captains. Well, I am the captain of this aircraft, and I am joined by amazing people, Nadine and Seth Van Beek. So now that we've done that, we're coming up to sort of like I guess the 26th, 27th minute mark of the show. So we want to kind of take the show in a different direction. There are some current affairs. Nadine, this is Nadine's area. So Nadine, what have you got in the news that we can talk about on the show today?
Well, today, airlines show growing interest in electric and hydrogen-powered aircraft. That's, we've got a lovely picture here of United. And
Yeah, with that is United is trying to get into buying some aircraft. They're trying to get the next generation of aircraft. Isn't that something that they've been trying to do? They're really trying to
yes,
invest in the next generation of aircraft, whatever that is.
I think their main purpose is trying to make supersonic eco-friendly. Supersonic flight eco-friendly. That is their main purpose.
Okay. And does it say how far away they are from being able to achieve that?
It does not.
It does not.
It
Okay.
does not give me an accurate figure of when it does say they will be going to achieve that, but hopefully very soon.
Very soon. Okay. That's cool. So United is basically trying to tap into the market of getting the latest in aviation technology, basically.
Yes.
Fantastic. Anything else in the news?
Mm.
As
There's some interesting topics here about our EU and Green Deal. Do aviation targets attainable? But I think they've been talking about that for a while, actually. The European Commission's adopted a sweeping set of climate proposals aimed at reducing net greenhouse gases. I think that's what everyone's trying to do at the moment, is make aviation as
clean
climate friendly,
as possible.
clean and green by 2030. That is the initiative.
Yeah. And with that initiative, we will start to see hopefully electric flying aircraft.
Yeah, correct.
Now, there was one particular aircraft that I came across yesterday. I was listening to the Aft Talk podcast. By the way, you should check out the Aft Talk podcast. I found it fascinating. I enjoyed it, so I would recommend it. So I was listening to it, and they were talking about, I think it's also United actually, that was trying to buy this aircraft that sort of looks like it looks like a combination of a Beechcraft. What's that Beechcraft with a T tail? I'm trying to remember. And it kind of looks like an average jet. It's got 4 propeller engines as well. But yeah, so United is trying to get in on those planes very early on. in an attempt to again make our airspace cleaner by 2030. So really, we've only got about 9 years. Things are heating up here in the UK. I mean, we reached temperatures of 33 degrees yesterday. I mean, that's just got to be one of the hottest days that I've ever experienced in the UK. So, global warming is a thing, isn't it, Nadine? I mean, you obviously agree with that school of thought that global warming is real. Yeah. So,
It's a thing. It's definitely a thing.
so we are on the same page because there are quite a lot of conspiracies, and I want to make sure that with my team we are on the same page about certain things. Literally, this is episode 0, and you're going to hear us talk about things in real time. Nothing is scripted. We don't even really make too much plans about this show. We just speak as we feel. Yeah, but so with global warming, some people don't believe that global warming is a thing, obviously. So that's the reason why I wanted to ask Nadine on air for the first time ever to make sure that she believes in global warming. I believe in global warming, and I'll tell you why. Right under this white shirt and black tie, I'm wearing shorts. There you go. Okay, so that's how you know that global warming is real. It's hot as hell in the studio today. Yeah, thanks to global warming. So, in any attempt to ensure that our atmosphere and our climate is cleaner, I think that will be a very good thing for aviation. I think it'll be very difficult to do, though, Nadine. I mean, we've got thousands of aircraft in the air that are burning millions and millions in gallons of aviation fuel, every day. You know, I think it'll be very difficult because it's going to have a huge impact on the airline. Even being able to power a plane that maybe flies 20 or 30 passengers electrically is very difficult to do. Think about that for a sec. So, a Tesla, how long does it take to charge a Tesla?
I have no idea.
Do you want to find out, please?
I will find out.
Thank you. So, I imagine that it takes, I don't know the Tesla. I'd imagine it probably, because Tesla is trying to make their batteries so that you can recharge your car very quickly. So, let's say it takes about half an hour to recharge a Tesla, and this Tesla now has a range of, let's say, 500 miles. Okay. That's half an hour to recharge your Tesla. Okay. And the performance on the Tesla will be based on how fast you drive it. Okay. The load, I'd imagine it factors in load. So if you're heavy and you're driving fast, then you're not going to go far. Okay. But can you imagine an aircraft that has to carry luggage and passengers and crew member and pilots, right? What sort of batteries is going to power a plane like this? That's really a question that, but I'm sure, like, 10 years ago, some of the technology we have today, we would have, never imagined that we would have. So I'm sure something would happen as time goes on where some genius is just going to come up with something, I'm sure. So do you know how long it takes to charge a Tesla?
Well, what it says here, 6 to 12 hours.
What?
That's what I thought.
I was
That's what I thought.
yeah, I was being very optimistic with my half hour. Are you sure? Yeah, that's what it says, right? Well,
That's what it says.
Google is our favorite website. Anything Google says is probably almost correct. If it's it just or it might depend on what you're reading. Are you getting that from Tesla's website? It might be best to look at Tesla's website.
Yeah, let me. Yeah.
Yeah. It might be
I'm gonna
best.
have a look at.
Yeah,
I'm
just
gonna
just
look
go
at
just
Tesla's
go
website.
go directly to Tesla.com or send Elon Musk a DM and go, hey man, so what are you saying with these Tesla batteries still? And then let Elon and then but yeah, so guys, this is quite a lot of fun. This show is not gonna run for too long. We really just wanted to come on here and do this. You guys don't understand the planning that it's taken in terms of literally just putting the show together, and all the fun things that we want to try and do. We're just excited to be here. Whilst Nadine is looking the for Tesla's how long it takes to charge a battery, I thought it might be great to sort of mention Zul Aviation. Zul Aviation is another guy that we are fascinated by on our show. He was a guest on our Clubhouse podcast edition, and he will certainly be coming on as a guest soon. Nadine can probably tell you a little bit more about Zul in a while once she's done looking for the Tesla stuff, or maybe she can do that before. It doesn't really matter. Well, basically, Zul Aviation is actually going to be responsible for organizing quite a fun event this Saturday, the 24th. And Nadine is going to talk about that in a second. Any luck with Tesla at all?
I want to find the official source of the charging times because I'm seeing many different things, but I want to find the official answer.
One that conveys the fact. Well, Nadine,
Yes.
this isn't something that I've always done, but why don't I help you out with finding information on Tesla whilst you go ahead and tell our audience about this amazing event that you're going to be going to on Saturday, from which is organized by Zool Aviation. And by the way, what we're also going to do is that if we specifically talk about anyone on this show, we will find a way to either tag them in the show's notes or in the show notes rather, or in the comments. Well, we can also add them into the description below on YouTube. So this will go on YouTube, obviously. We will also be going on Spotify. We will go on Apple. We will literally be on every streaming platform. So please ensure to tell your friends about us, your family members, any enthusiastic person or any aviation enthusiast rather. Make sure they check us out. The show will progressively get a lot more fun. This is literally just episode 0. We're just getting together and putting some things in play. But yeah, so we're gonna tag them in the show's notes below. But anyways, Nadine is gonna tell you about the event on Saturday. If you're in the UK and this is something that you would like to go to, I'm not sure if tickets are still available, but this show is being recorded on Tuesday, the 20th, and it will be out on Wednesday, the 21st. So by the time you're listening to or watching this episode, you should still be able to click on any links that we put below to essentially go find out whether you can get tickets to go. If you're in the UK, this will be a fun event for you to go to. So, Nadine, you can take over from here on out. I'll see if I can find out any information on Tesla. Let's see what we have.
So the Lando experience, as Daps has already said, is on the 24th of July. And we are going to view the British Airways Lando livery.
Woo! Woo!
Yes.
Yes.
Exciting.
Make some noise. Woo!
That is my favorite livery because that was when I was younger. That's how I remember the BA style.
Yeah.
That's the livery from the 80s.
Yes.
Late,
late
late 80s.
Yeah.
Late 80s, 90s.
Yeah. I suppose
So,
we,
yeah.
we can't really say much because I wasn't from that era. I wasn't around in the 80s, but I think our parents could say that's the good old days. I have no idea. I wasn't even conceived yet in the 80s. So,
I was flying from very, very young. I
yeah.
think my mother says the first flight I ever took, I was 4 months.
Yeah.
So I've been flying up and down, back and forth since from a kid, a very small child. So I do remember that livery. I'm not going to tell you my age.
Yeah, you've just told us all of that without revealing your age, Nadine. You were flying in the 80s. Okay.
Well, clearly, yes, I was flying in the 80s. So the day is going to be separated. Well, not separated. There's 3 viewing sessions where you can view and go on the aircraft. So it starts from 9 a.m. Group 1, 9 a.m. Group 2 is noon, and Group 3, 3 p.m. So you can go on, experience the aircraft, look around, and take pictures, speak to airline pilots and professionals who were working on the aircraft, I'm assuming during the 80s as well. You get a very lovely special boarding card invite. You know,
Nice.
it's very cute.
Wow. I like that. It looks like an
Yeah.
old school ticket, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Like one of those old school tickets. But I wouldn't know anything about that because I wasn't flying in the 80s. So,
Well, I was just, I was there. I don't actually know what was going on, but I was there. Yeah, it's going to be held at Dunsfield Park, which is in Surrey, I believe.
So how's the Lando getting there? Is it getting flown in or is it there already? I'd imagine it's probably there already, right?
I don't think he'll be there already. He's probably going to get flown in.
It's probably gonna get. So wait. If it's getting flown in, are people gonna be there in time to see it come in?
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah, get to see it land. You know, those engines. I don't know what engines were on those older 747s, but you know they're obviously kind of smaller looking than the newer ones, and they sound different. You know, the 747, the Queens of the Sky.
Yes.
I say sky
100%.
as opposed to skies. Sky. Yeah, so it's promising to be a really fun event. So shout out to our guys Zul for putting that together.
Yeah. Zool Aviation.
We're gonna tag everybody on Instagram. Once the show is done. Um.
Oh, I can actually have a look and see where the aircraft is now because I have the aircraft registration.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'll be able to answer your question.
Okay.
Did you find the answer for Tesla yet?
It's saying on here that for between 20 to 80% at 50 kilowatts in public locations, within sort of 60 to 80 minutes, you can charge your car. That's what I'm finding. And this is for the Tesla Model S, which is, I think, a more sort of popular uh, version of the Tesla to go for. So, if you want to get it between 20 to 80%, 50 kilowatts, public locations, 60 to 80 minutes, which is basically an hour to an hour, 20 minutes. Um, I wonder, yeah, charging time, and then that would take you a range of. So if you charge your car for between an hour to an hour and 20 minutes, it will take you uh around. It says 84 to 87 um 30
It's not.
minutes.
It's not clear, is it?
Yeah, it's not
It's not.
very.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's not a very clear, definitive answer.
Yeah, we might need to get one. We might need to get Tesla owner on the show, and we'll somehow try and justify and tie it into all things aviation. But yeah, I mean, it could tie into the segment. Maybe when we do the segment on VTOLs, electronic vehicles that do vertical takeoff and landings, we'll try and tie it somehow into Tesla. So you're looking up something for me.
Pardon, sorry.
You're looking up something for me, or what were you looking for?
Yes, I want to know where the Lando aircraft is actually right now.
Right now, okay. There's no better person
Yeah.
to find out that information than you, Nadine. I'll try and think of anything else that I can add. Well, so let's. Should I do a shout out for some of the clubhouse individuals that are smashing it on the app? By the way, again, if you've never heard or used Clubhouse, definitely endeavor to check it out. Especially if you're listening to this and you enjoy this, you're definitely gonna have tons of fun on the app. So I'll start off by mentioning Captain Teresa. Okay, Captain Teresa currently runs, in my opinion, the best ground school on Clubhouse in the world, and it focuses on all manners of topics, from aerodynamics to to aeromedical factors to literally everything you can imagine. And Captain Teresa has been a guest on our podcast episodes on the app on Clubhouse. She's an airline captain. She's amazing. She's a really kind-hearted person, and she's very knowledgeable. So definitely make sure that if you're ever on the on the Clubhouse app, that you check out Captain Theresa. You check out her rooms as well. We will link some of this in our show so that way people know who we're talking about. We've got the lovely Aviation Marie as well, who has been a friend of the show for since its inception, really, since she discovered about us. And we've got Stig Aviation. I've mentioned Seth Van Beek. I've mentioned Zool Aviation already as well. So there's just a few cool people on Clubhouse that are doing amazing things at the minute. So make sure that you tap in with some of these people. Kyle Chang is another great individual that's responsible for putting together a whole host of rooms to run on that sort of like the one sort of a brand. Yeah, it means that everybody can come together and do stuff. There's just a lot going on the app. Yeah, and we're responsible for the podcast side of things. So that's what we do. But yeah, so I think I've come to the point where podcasting is all about talking, and you can probably tell that I enjoy talking. This is not the only show I do, by the way, guys. Although I'm a financial advisor, I do have my own other radio comedy podcast. It's a radio show on Threshold FM, and I play music from upcoming artists all over the world. We try and have a lot of fun on that show. That show is wild. So if you have a little bit of a wild side to your personality, maybe check that show out. So it's called Chilling with Daps. It's on YouTube. It's on Spotify. You can check it out if you want. However, this is our aviation podcast, so we're going to try and keep things a little bit more, a little bit PG. So how are we looking? Where's Landor?
It's at Dunsford. It's already there.
It's already there.
Yeah.
So is that where it resides? Is that its humble
Yeah.
abode, or so that's where it is?
That's where it lives.
That's where it
is.
lives. Okay.
It was in Cardiff before that, and now that's where it is.
So that's where it's going to retire.
For now.
for now. Yeah. So
Yes.
it's in a nursing home. You could call it an aerodrome home. That's what it is it? Getting looked after in its old age. Yeah.
That's
Um,
right.
that's right. Okay.
That's
Do,
right.
do you reckon that it'll be grumpy that all these young people are coming to disturb it? Old people don't like when people come check up on them. When you guys are all stamping on the carpet and doing everything, Lando is gonna be like, oh God, I flew millions of people in my time just when I thought
So,
I was resting.
yeah.
No,
The 747 never is never grumpy. I'm telling you that
yeah,
it's a beautiful, it's a lovely aircraft to work on, both above wing and below wing. The 747, it will never be grumpy.
wow. But you can say that because you have first-hand
Yes.
experience. But you also did mention to me one time, Nadine, that by far the easiest aircraft for you to load in is the 777.
Oh yes.
Wow,
To load below wing, the easiest aircraft is the 777. It's
wow,
just smooth.
it's just smooth and wide open.
Just smooth. Yes. You
But
put
you also mentioned that the A380 was a pain, and I would have never thought that.
pain
But
in the backside.
wow, but then when you said that, I went and looked at the shape of the A380. It does have a bit of a weird shape for people trying to load it in. Must be really difficult. But the 737 is almost round. It's such a nicely rounded aircraft, and it just looks wide. And the
The,
A380 is just
the
kind of
triple
like,
seven.
sorry, the 777. Yes,
Yes.
the triple
The
seven.
777 is just easy.
Mm,
The ULD slots in and goes straight to the aft of the aircraft or forward. It just connects in nicely.
mm,
Whereas a 380, if the ULD is nose heavy, it will kind of cave. So it will get stuck underneath the tracks,
mm,
the guide rails to slot the bin in. So then it won't roll.
mm-hmm,
So then you have to physically push it.
mm.
So it's a pain.
It's a pain. Yeah, and
If the weight is not evenly distributed in the ULD, it will get stuck. But on a 777, it doesn't have to be evenly distributed.
yeah.
So it's fine.
It's fine. And just for those who are listening who have no idea what that word ULD means, myself included, can you please tell us what ULD means?
It means unit loading device,
Yeah.
but for short, we say bins.
Yeah. I was going to try and look cool there for a second and pretend that I knew what ULDs meant. No idea. Not even a chance. But yeah, so unit loading device, yeah?
Yes,
Which is
for those
essentially
that
just
don't know.
the roll-ons that you
No. For those that don't know, I actually work in ground operations now
okay.
at Heathrow. So a unit loading device, it's the container, the bin, the big silver things that you see going into the hold of the aircraft.
Mm-hmm.
That is a ULD.
Right.
Goes in, and then the rollers are obviously a roller
Mm-hmm.
on the floor of the aircraft that help move the bin.
Right. Right. Great. That's cool. That essentially is a piece of equipment that's obviously designed to ensure that your job is done quite easily.
Yes.
Great. That's good. You learn new things every day, man. I hope if you took nothing else from that show, you took that one piece of value that literally took about 20 seconds for Nadine to explain. Yeah. Make sure you recommend us to your friends and family now after that. After all that waffling that I've been doing. But so did you want to show us one last thing before we pretty much finish the show and we're done for our first episode? Come on. This has been exciting. Very exciting stuff. What
You
was
want me to
what was
go
that?
ahead?
What did you want to say? Ladies first.
Oh, no. I just wanted to clarify what you wanted me to share.
Oh, I thought you were wanting to share. Oh, you've already done that, haven't you? You've already told us where Lander is. Lander is yeah, chilling
Yes,
out
it
there.
lives in Dunsford.
Yeah,
That's where it lives. That's where it happily
yeah,
is until
chilling.
further notice. And
Fantastic.
we're going to go and have a play on it.
Yes, yes.
I've loaded that aircraft a few times and it's easy to load as
It's really
well.
easy to load aircraft as
Yeah.
well. And I suppose so, guys. Definitely make sure you check the show out when it does come out on the Wednesday, the 21st. Make sure you like and subscribe and share. I'm going to be absolutely flat out once this show ends with post production. I will literally be setting up the YouTube page, which I haven't already done. The podcast, I suppose, the podcast provider or the website where we're going to host it, the hosting platform is ready because I already use it for one of my other shows, so that's fine. But just in terms of the art and everything else, guys, I'm going to be really busy, and this is also one of my busiest week in life in general. But anyways, I'll try to ensure that this show is out in good enough time before we do our Clubhouse room, which is going to be 9 p.m. UK time. At least that way, it will ensure that we have something to talk about. It also means that we will not have to do podcasting on Clubhouse anymore, unfortunately. Oh, so we wouldn't have to do podcasting on Clubhouse anymore. What's the point? We have a real podcast now. So we will keep the podcast to this side of things, which is the real stuff, and we will keep Clubhouse for engagement with our audience. That's how we will catch up with people. If we ever have a guest on, we can use Clubhouse as an opportunity for other people who have maybe listened to that episode to get a chance to hear them speak live. So it's going to be like a free live event. And sometimes it gives our audience an opportunity to come speak to our guests after they've been on our show. So as you can see, we clearly have plans for what we want to do. It's just a matter of, as time goes on, we will be executing some of these things. Just before we go, I also wanted to ensure that I tell you all to have a fantastic rest of your week. And yeah, and I know there's something else that I wanted to quickly plug in before we go. Oh yeah, so myself and Nadine have set ourselves a challenge for the Lando event on Saturday. Our goal is to make all things aviation podcast t-shirts. Okay, that Nadine will be the first guinea pig to wear them. Okay, we're going to try and make sure that Nadine looks beautiful. Nadine is already quite a beautiful and stunning woman, but we really do hope that with this piece of gear and this t-shirt that she looks even more amazing. So today's Tuesday. I am almost doubtful that we will get it ready by Saturday because we haven't even started our online t-shirt shop yet, but we will literally start that once the show ends, and hopefully Nadine will be representing us in all things aviation colors on Saturday. I'm also saying this because when the online shop comes out officially, please feel free to pay us a visit. And if you see any t-shirt you like or any merchandise that you fancy, please make sure that you support the show. With that said, I would like to thank you all for your eyes and your ears. I would like to thank the lovely Nadine for being awesome. Nadine, did you want to add anything else to the show before we close it out?
Yeah, it's just the Orlando experience. There's tickets are still available for the 9 a.m. slots. The 12 and 3 p.m. slots are gone. I will be there from early in the morning because I'm an early bird.
Hey,
So hopefully in the t-shirt, we're ready and welcoming as
yeah.
always.
Who knows, actually? That just gave me a wild idea. Since you're going to be there all day and the early bird always gets to warm, if we're actually able to get Nadine t-shirts, we might be able to get a extra t-shirt that might be able to go on sale. So this is not necessarily going to task Nadine, but Nadine, you're going to be driving to the event, aren't you?
Yes.
So if we're able to make maybe 10 t-shirts, Nadine can have that in the trunk of the car, as Americans say. They say trunk. We call it boots. So yeah, Nadine can have it. Yeah, and also it's not cookies, it's biscuits. It's not fries, it's chips.
It's chips.
Yes.
I'm with you on that one.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
chips.
100% Americans, okay? But yeah, we love you guys. But so we might make a couple extras so that if anyone is interested and fancy some all things aviation colors, they can stick it on. Um,
Can I add something?
absolutely.
Daps.
Yep, sure.
Lipton's tea is not tea.
Yeah, yeah.
I just want to clarify that.
Yep.
That I take personal I don't like that one. That's not
Yep.
tea.
Lipton tea is not tea. Okay.
It's not tea.
Now, just tell
It's
them
not tea.
what actual tea is.
PG tips, Yorkshire tea,
Hmm.
Twinings.
These are also all English tea, by the way.
Not Lipton's.
Not Lipton's, but Yorkshire. Yorkshire is.
Yorkshire tea is
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
And if you want a more laxative option, I suggest green tea. You can thank me later. Maybe try not to have it on your way into work. Try and have it on your way back from work, because at least you're in the comfort of your own home and you can do as you please in your toilet. Anyways, guys.
Wow.
With that said, we will go ahead and close this show today. Thank you very much for sticking through with us. We really do appreciate you, and we hope to see you again, hopefully this time next week for episode 1. This was episode 0. You have been listening to DAPS Presents All Things Aviation. Thank you guys. Take care. Bye bye.